Young Guru's probably one of the most influential ears, voices, minds in the music industry today. He's responsible for some of the biggest records. Most of Jay-Z stuff comes out through Young Guru. Most of Kanye, most of what you hear on the radio, I like to call him the sound of New York. He doesn't like to take that on, but I like, this is the sound of New York musically. But not only is he a powerful force in the music industry, like he decided to stay home in Newark so his people could benefit off of his value. So his children knows what it is to grow up around their own people. And that right there in and of itself is something very, very powerful and to be commended. But he's a brilliant mind and he's showing me how to maneuver through the beast. Young Guru.
For me, the corporate system doesn't owe me anything. I'm very aware and I understand exactly the situation when I walk into it. I don't have love for that corporation don't have love for me. This is a business arrangement. And I think too many times when we're dealing with our art, we put our love into it and expect that person is going to love you back. That person is never going to love you. If we take, for instance, the letter that Nas wrote today, some people may not know. What he said was to L.A. Reid, Steve Bartles, people that I know well. He basically said, why are you not putting out my album? Stop trying to be an artist. Stop trying to tell me what to do. Okay? The problem is that they told Nas that that album won't count against him owing Def Jam albums. When you sign with a label, you don't sign for one album. You sign for 7 albums, right? So the album that he wants to put out, which is called Lost Tapes, wouldn't count against those 7 albums. So he don't want to put it out. Basically, they're pimping you even further, okay? Just to give you some background and some information, one thing that the brother said that I do disagree with is, he said that the contracts are still the same from 50 years ago, and they're not. They've gotten worse. They have. What we're dealing with now is the emergence of independence, right? And the emergence of the internet. So people are finally waking up to these things that I've been saying for, I say about 20 years, that you don't need a record label at all whatsoever. I work with them. I know I don't need it. So they're finally starting to see all these artists who are reaping the benefit off of putting their music out independently. So what did these labels do? They furthered the situation and said, okay, we used to just sell your music and get a percentage of your music, but now you people are making too much money off of these ringtones, your live show, and like a good slave master, they said, I need to lock down my slave. So now they come with these 360 deals, which means that I own you completely. Meaning that if you put out an album, you get popular, you go do a show, I get 10% of that. If you sell t-shirts at that show, I get 10% of that. If your music gets into a movie, I get 50% of your mechanicals. They want to own you completely. So this is the reason why you won't see progressive people like Lupe Fiasco come out anytime soon, because he's not going to sign that deal. Or Nas, because these people are intelligent people. So in answering your question, the corporation doesn't owe me anything. What I owe my people is to warn them about the corporation. You understand what I'm saying? From a music level and from so many different levels. That's a great segue into corporations, period, because so many times we, like you said, mystify our enemy, right? These are not mystic people. These are real individuals that wake up every day, put their pants on the same way you do. They just don't come to your neighborhood. You never see them. Right? But these are real individuals. So now what we're doing is that we're moving into a time where these individuals are hiding behind their corporation, which is the most dangerous thing you could do. Why? Because in America, a corporation is considered a person. Right? But it's not a physical person. So that means that if you sue the corporation, you're not suing the man that actually did the deed.
You saying that? I know exactly where you're coming from, but the audience may not.
Okay. Let me explain what I mean. If you deal with a Fortune 500 corporation, right, and they do something to you, and you sue that corporation, right, you sue the corporation itself, not the person who did it. Okay? That corporation pays taxes. It acts as a person. Legally, that corporation is a person, but it's not a person. You understand what I'm saying? There are men that run these corporations, that hide behind these corporations for their vested interests. okay? And they're not, too many times we use these words, Illuminati, Mace, whatever you want to call it, right? These people have real names. I grew up in Delaware. I know DuPonts, right? There's real people whose families historically have locked down America, okay? They're not about to give up that power anytime soon. Okay? If you are of the Rothschild lineage, you're going to do everything that you can do to maintain your grip on the world. The same way that if me and this brother built a company from scratch and now my kids run it, I'm not letting somebody else come in and deal with this company. What does that tell you? Don't deal with the company. Period. Start your own company. This is the perfect time for musical independence. The perfect time. This brother said a great statement that you can make a living selling 5,000 units. If I make a CD and I sell 5,000 units, that's $50,000 in my pocket. That's a salary. You understand what I'm saying? And I own my masters. The problem is that you signed the contract. When you get into the situation in the first place, you asked to become a slave. You asked for it. You went and chased down whoever you could chase down that was a representative of that label and asked them, please make me a slave. Do you understand what that is? So, okay, now as a progressive person, somebody that has a mind that sits in these meetings and hears nonsense all day, and when I'm sitting in front of L.A. Reid and I raise my hand and I'm like, that's nonsense, they tell me that that's going to sell. That's the whole response. The company doesn't care, righteous, unrighteous, they care about money. Period, point blank. If you look back at hip-hop in 1989, Righteous was selling, so they was down with Righteous. You understand? Now Nonsense is selling, so they down with Nonsense. It's about green and about power and control, and they really, really, really see the end coming. The end is coming. 10 years from now, these record labels will not be here in the capacity that they are now, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. If I'm an artist, I would not sign to a major record label at this point, because I do all the work. I go find the artist, I make the beat, he writes the rhyme, I record everything, I mix it, then I have to hand it in and I don't own it. And I make 10 cents off of it. That doesn't make sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. So if I can sell 5,000 or 10,000 on my own, I would rather do that. But we as a people, the minister said it best, like, you so impressed with the shiny Cadillac, and we're going to use the same words that he used, but you can replace that with anything. You're so impressed with this shininess that you don't see the value of being on your own. The only thing they do for you is give you a loan. That's all it is. It's a bank. When you walk in there, they give you however much, $1 million, right? You hear somebody say, oh, I signed for $1 million. They don't got $1 million in their pocket. That $1 million is used to distribute your CD.
Market, promote, publicize.
Right. A whole bunch of nonsense that's not necessary anymore. So the understanding has to come that we don't need to sign up to be slaves, and then you won't deal with that situation. So to me, the corporate structure of music, they don't owe me anything, because that's not my parent. You understand what I'm saying? I mix a record, they pay me. That's all I expect. I don't expect them to be progressive for me. I expect me to be progressive for me. You understand what I'm saying? And the problem comes is that there are progressive artists out there that put out great music, that teach lessons. It's the people who don't support those artists.